similarities to the TG ARP9, which I've shown you many times, kind of that sandwich style blaster that opens up. It's got a Gen 8.5 gearbox, which they've already upgraded with metal gears, high-speed motor. Of course, they've upgraded the spring and a few other things. So I didn't really do much when it came to performance with this, but what I wanted to do is make kind of a nice, long, almost sort of sniper style blaster with this. I have so many M4A1 handguards, and I want to try to figure out to use what I have on hand. It's just kind of a challenge. It's something different to do. And I've sort of done this before, but I think I've more perfected it now. And I'm going to go over all that with you and show you kind of how I did things, talk it through. And then, of course, later there'll be videos where it's all put together and videos where I demonstrate it and show you the FPS and everything. So when it comes to this, performance-wise, not a lot to change here, right? So I put in a bigger spring, about an M95 spring in here. Now, it also went to a much longer barrel. So the inner barrel that I'm using here is actually one from an M249. To give you an idea, I think it's around 350 millimeters, but I'd have to double check. So that's what I'm using here. Now this T-piece, the original T-piece and the original metal barrel, I was able to get that off pretty easily, so that's nice. One thing I will point out with these PDXs, because it's happened on both of them that I have, is this back screw here. When you go to take it out, the other side has the Allen wrench side on it. It just, you can't, right? So I had to drill that out again. Now, not a big deal for me. I have extra pins around, so I was able to go ahead and, put it back together after I did those minor upgrades. But that seems to be an issue, that those are just put on tight and you can't really get them. And of course, you can't really grab this side and to hold it while you're trying to unscrew the other side. So just something to be aware of. Now, like I said, I got all these M4A1 handguards, and I wanted to make an extended, longer one and do something cool with it. So that's what I did here. Now, I do have another one I'm working on that's going to be even bigger, crazier, more of a true sniper style. So what I did is basically cut that off flush, as straight as I possibly could. And then I made kind of a joiner coupler piece right here on the 3D print. Of course, in the case of this one, it would get painted. So that can fit in there like that, right? And of course, you can use some screws here that'll be hidden by the rail and some glue to get it in there nice and tight. And then the bottom piece, again here, went ahead, cut it as good as I could to make it as perfect as possible. And so it lines up really nice like that. So that's what I did there. Now, I've also figured out on this end here, you can go ahead and hollow that out with a step bit. And this step bit seems to be the perfect size. So it's about 35 millimeters if you go all the way through. So when you get it through to 35 millimeters, that's typically about the size of these, or even the metal ones on the V2 blasters, right? They're usually 34 to 35. So I was able to do that so that the handguard would slide on. So this will just slide on. Now, the other thing I did in this case, right, is because the way the PDX is designed, this rail is up a little higher, kind of like we've seen on HK416s. So I kind of had to build up the top rail, and that's okay. It also helps add stability and strength to the handguard since we have this whole long piece going on here. And then I just had to go ahead and 3D print one small kind of rail section there that'll clip right into that notch that you see right there. The other thing I did, though, was I sunk in a rivet nut right here, because then what I can do is I can take a screw and screw it down nice and tight against the top of this piece right here. And that way it holds on there perfect, but it can still easily be removed if you need to remove it. Okay? You can see I got a threaded tip on the end. The metal inner barrel goes right to the end of that, and then we can go ahead and put a silencer on. Now, I had all this leftover kind of camo tape from some blasters that they came with in the past. So went ahead, had a silencer. Obviously, I made the threaded portion there. So that'll go on the end like that. I thought that'd be cool. Haven't done that before. The other thing is I had an old mag. I think this was actually from an ACR J10. Now, this one had broke a little bit, and I had to make a filler piece on the side anyway. So since I had that, I thought, oh, well, let's go ahead. Let's wrap it with that camo. That'll look really nice. And this one does fit in there just fine. Of course, the original one is here too. So that's the plan there. Do have a nice little riser to go on top. Made a cool little grip that goes all the way back, flush up against the top or the front of the mag well, and then a separate grip to go out further on the handguard too. For the side here, again, these are just different things I do more for decorative touches. These will slide on, and those little sticker logos that look like this will go in the middle of those. So those will just slide on the top and be locked in. Also got some canted rails right there too. So we'll use little canted rails for the sights, because you can see I've got like a big kind of, sniper style scope over there. So kind of used this diamond pattern. It was a different diamond plate pattern that I haven't used before. So I've incorporated that in a couple spots. And you can see along the top of the stock, this isn't glued on yet, but that'll be glued on there. And again, just kind of ties everything together, ties some colors together nicely, which is what I was going for. So that's the build plan. Of course, I made a buffer tube adapter for that as well, so that we can go to a buffer tube stock. In this case, we're using that type of stock right there, that crane stock. So that's the build plan. Again, EMERBU Toys, WD PDX. We're going to go to sort of a sniper style blaster with it. I think it's going to look really cool. It all fits together really nicely. Of course, I check that throughout the build, but every once in a while you get surprised. So check back to see the completed product. I think you're going to think it's really cool. And check back for the demo and the FPS test. Now, I did go to that bigger spring, but since we have that longer barrel, we definitely see an increase in FPS. Obviously, I've tested it some already, but not anything crazy. I think we're about 25 FPS higher than it was prior to the build. All right, comments, questions, post them below. Of course, like, subscribe, share my channel with your friends, and participate in those monthly giveaways. Thanks.